Jillian sacrificing herself and her vegetables to some higher good that was supposed to feel bad. He decided that she was growing them vindictively, raising them for the pleasure of getting to watch them rot. She had a way of stabbing dirt. If Howie waved, she waved back, might even smile. But he thought that she made a point of waving or smiling far to the left or right of where he was actually standing, as if that's where he ought to be, way over there, engaged in something more productive, like digging a hole to die in. Jillian's husband, Peter, was retired, but it was impossible to guess from what. From everything. Howie thought that he understood the man's reticence.
"I don't care, Howard. I'm going to bring them brownies."
"I wouldn't." Exactly. His wife wouldn't have wanted to either, if Howie hadn't been so vocal about leaving well enough alone. This was 27 years ago, that first summer on Route 29. Howie began to worry that her efforts weren't directed at the Phane so much as they were a sideways assault on her new husband, that baked inside his wife's campaign of cookies and casseroles and unaccepted luncheon invitations was a slowly congealing reproach and rejection of his nature. Howie's shy, comfortable disengagement. It was like they were living next door to a premonition. She had to prove to herself that the Phanes were all right, so that someday she and Howie would be all right too. The Jeffrieses had moved to Route 29, a 15-minute drive from the relative civilization of Queens Falls, New York, because it was the biggest house they could afford. It was never meant to be permanent. It was a first home, a starter, which they hoped to move at a profit. What with the renovations Howie had begun, and the fact that it really was a gorgeous old heap. It had character, as they say. Howie had saved up from his first few years at GE, and his wife had just graduated from State University, New York, Albany, and taken a position teaching earth science at Queens Falls Middle School. They'd been sweethearts since Mr. Roski's 7th grade homeroom in that very same school, only 2 rooms over from her very own classroom. That was part of it, probably. It felt to his wife as if she'd both never left school and already retired. It wasn't a street or a road, she'd complain. It was a route. Normal people didn't live on routes. They drove through them on their way to normal streets, named after people or places or trees, to neighborhoods with normal neighbors who, unlike her husband and these Phanes, appreciated small talk and luncheons and liked basic human decency. For freaking starters. The Phanes were pets like mongooses are pets, like ghosts or ferrets or bacteria are pets. Some friends of theirs hadn't even finished college yet, and here they were, Howie and his wife, already in their dotage, living way up the ass end of nowhere, watching a horror movie version of their future unfold next door. What had happened? And why had it happened so quickly? The closest she got to winning over the Phanes was a typewritten note that Peter Phane affixed to the Jeffries' front screen door. "Thank you for the thoughtful pastries," it began. The note went on to explain that Mrs. Phane hadn't been able to enjoy them because of a pre-existing condition. They would not be requiring any more. It didn't exactly welcome the Jeffrieses to the neighborhood, because Route 29 wasn't exactly a neighborhood. But it was enough for Howie's wife. The victory all the more sweet for being both comical. From then on, Rice Krispies treats were thoughtful pastries, and for not in any way leading to further interaction with the starchy, unbearable pair next door. Clearly, the Phanes weren't like them at all. One of them had a condition. Peter and